All right, hello everyone and welcome back. So our stream was a little bit interrupted because we had a problem to be displayed on chess.com. It wasn't working for some. So now I tried completely creating a new stream and we'll be doing commentary from here. Hopefully we'll be running very smoothly without any problems this time. I'm waiting for you guys to join back in. Hopefully you'll see the stream and everything and we're ready to continue. All right. So I'm waiting for you guys to join in here and then we'll be going with the commentary. All right, so let's hope our viewers are joining back. Everyone that was there. Hello, my friend. How are you? How are you going? How's everything by you? Welcome to the stream. Where you coming from, my friend? Are you here to see some serious chess? Some high-level chess? So, what happened? Well, we had a previous stream, but then we ran into some technicalities. And it wasn't too good. So now we restarted the stream. And what we're going to be doing today, we're covering some Grandmaster high-level events, tournaments, the Budapest 6 days famous February edition. So we're going right into the action. Hey, enough about worrying about technicalities or anything. We're just going into the raw commentary here. That's all that's in our control. Chess and chess itself. So let's get to wait for a little bit more viewers. But in the meantime, my friend, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? I'm just making sure. So if you guys are back in the chat, please let me know if you all managed to rejoin. Because I want to start with the commentary. Enough of this checking the stream is working or not. That's out of our control, my friends. Hello, my friend, Mr. Ricky Chess. Where are you coming from? Where are you coming from, my friend? So, all right, what we're going to be doing today, we're doing live commentary on the 6 days Budapest events in February. Now, for any very good burn, we're back. Cannot be stopped. We can't be stopped. That's right. It's all right. We're going strong, and we're gonna commentate this event now. This is gonna be perhaps one of the. Okay, very good, my friend. That's a good country for chess. They play chess very well there. We're gonna be doing commentary like no other. Now, this is not some random joke show, we're making fun and doing those kind of things. This is going to be very instructive commentary. This is going to be high level chess we're going to be seeing here unlike any other. So let me introduce you what tournaments are we going to be covering. As you can see by the logo, we're covering the 6 days Budapest events in February 2026. So what are these events? Most of you probably never heard about it. Now, in the chess circles, in the chess master circles, these are international master and grandmaster norm events. They are closed tournaments. So in this version of the 6 days Budapest February events, there are I believe there are 5 different tournaments all going on at the same place. Never mind about the error, Stefan. We can't do anything about that. That's not our problem. They will fix it. So, anyways, about that, these Budapest events, what's so special about it? Now, it's very special because it's very strong tournaments here. So it's basically some of the elite players come here and play. So what is a Grandmaster tournament? What is an International Master tournament? So a Grandmaster Norm tournament is basically a tournament that is made. It's a closed tournament. There's only 10 players. There are 3 Grandmasters, and the rest of the players, the other 7, are invited players. And all of these 10 players, if you combine the average rating of the tournament, it is around 2380 FIDE rating. And these provide the conditions for someone to take a Grandmaster Norm according to the World Chess Federation, where if somebody scores 7 out of 9 points, usually in a GM tournament, they take a Grandmaster Norm. And to get the Grandmaster title, you need 3 Grandmaster Norms and the ELO of 2500. So these tournaments provide a kind of guaranteed shot where you can enter to get the Grandmaster Norm. And there's another version, the International Master Norm tournaments. They follow the same principle or concept. You need to score generally 7 out of 9 to take an International Master Norm. And there are 3 IMs, and the rest of foreigners are the title seekers, who the average rating is, I think it's around 2280 FIDE or 2250. I'm not sure exactly what it is, since I haven't played those tournaments in a very long time, since I have my IM title. So no need to play there. And the whole point of it is the IMs, if they score the title seekers, they should score 7 out of 9 to get the IM norm. And to get the IM title, you need 3 IM norms and a rating of 2400 usually. So these tournaments, what's the point of it? Why do they organize it? Well, they give a title shot to all the norm seekers. It's also a profitable business. You have to pay to enter these tournaments. It's not free. And also the Grandmasters and IMs who play in their respective sections get paid to play. So it's a good opportunity for Grandmasters to earn in the GM norm events, for IMs to earn in the IM events. Of course, the organizer is organizing many of these, so he's also earning. So it's an economical system as well for chess players. And the title seekers have to pay to enter, which is not always cheap, especially if you compare it to opens. However, people prefer to do it because it guarantees you a shot. If you play in an open tournament, you are not always guaranteed to meet the criteria to get the GM norm. So that's why people like to go for these events. So let's start a cover it here. As I said, there are 3 GM groups. We're going to be taking one at a time, and there are 2 IM groups. This is the final round here, so we're gonna be looking at how it's going here. So first in this GM group here, we see there was a forfeit win. So International Master Garg Ardhaya, his opponent IM Roy Wagman, he didn't come to the game in the last round. So he probably, could be many reasons, but it's always never nice in these IM tournaments or GM tournaments when someone forfeits a game. People pay their money and they come from very far away to play 9 games, so it's always not pleasant when someone gets a forfeit win because you don't get any ELO or anything for a forfeit win. Alright, so let's look at some other games. This is not here, error and playback. Let's go to the games themselves. So a big shout out here to the FIDE master from Poland, Mateusz Paszewski, a good friend of mine. He is a FIDE master, and the good thing about being a FIDE master in a Grandmaster event is that you can also get in a GM event an IM norm. And to get an IM norm in a GM event, you usually need 5.5 points out of 9 instead of the 7 out of 9 if you play in the IM section. So here, our friend of the stream, our friend FIDE master Mateusz Paszewski from Poland actually made a very nice quick draw in the last round, and that secured him 5.5, which got him his final IM norm, and all he needs for the IM title is the rating of 2,400, which we hope he will get. So it's that special shout out to him. He already secured that. Now let's move on. Who else is here? So we have here, we want to look at round 9. We don't want to look at round 8, okay? Let's look at some more games. You are 2,200 in Bullet. My friend, why are you playing Bullet? Why are you playing Bullet, my friend? That is brain rot. That is decay in your brain, literally. I don't recommend Bullet. Why would you play 1 minute chess, my friend? I don't think that's a good idea. So let's look at this game. We have here a very big fight. We have, who is this playing here? So we have with white Grandmaster Filip Haring. He's from Slovakia. Playing Genghis Khan's relative from Mongolia. We have here Mr. Itgelt Kuyashchogit. It's a hard name to pronounce, guys. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. However, Mongolia, anytime we hear Mongolia, we remember Genghis Khan, the great conqueror. So here, let's see how this game is going here. So white started with e4. Black played the classical e5. He's looking for a safe, solid game. Knight f3, standard theory. Knight c6, nothing new here. And bishop c4, the Italian game here. So usually the Italian game is like a modern try. Before, all these grandmasters used to play the Royal Lopez here. However, these days more people are actually switching over to the Italian here. Knight f6, which is known as very classical way. However, does allow knight to g5, attacking f7, the fried liver. So some people choose to avoid it with bishop c5. Knight f6, d3, play the slow Italian. So clearly white is not looking for a big, huge theoretical battle with knight g5. This grandmaster is trying to rely on his experience to tell in the course of the game. Black, of course, plays bishop c5. And white plays c3, very kind of classical setup. d6, I think we've seen this before. We've seen this definitely in all these grandmaster games on the high level here. So this is not something new or anything like that. So bishop to g5 was played. So white, he took his time to play this move here. Now usually bishop g5, I'll give you a hint, is not so effective before black castles. Why? Because many times black could actually play h6, and when the bishop goes back, he can kick the bishop with g5. And because the black king hasn't castled, it's not too bad. However, usually if black castles and then you play bishop g5, it's another story, as h6 and g5 would severely weaken the king. But white decided to go for bishop g5. I don't think this was preparation. h6 was played, black played a6. I don't think a6 is a standard move. However, I don't think it was necessary here at all. The bishop on c5 was not in any situation to be trapped. So guys, what do you think of the course of this game here? What do you all think of this opening? So a6 was played, while played knight b2, standard developing move. The knight sometimes here on d2 could even come to f1, e3, and in some situations g3. However, the bishop is here, so g5 would be there. However, the standard developing move, I mean, where else to put the knight? You don't want to put it to a3. Bishop a7, black went back. So black is a bit clear that black is not 100% sure what's going on. He's making like these waiting moves, these useful moves, a6, bishop a7, and he's waiting to see what course of action does white want to really take here. Castles here played by white, and black played knight e7, which looks to me is a very questionable decision. For IM norms, how many IM norms? My friend, so in this we are looking at this to get an IM norm. You in these tournaments here, so these closed tournaments, in an IM closed tournament, you need to score 7 out of 9, or in a GM tournament, you need to score 5.5 out of 9. And I believe if I defeat, no, it doesn't work like that, my friend. No, it's actually not like that. It's not about defeating IMs. It's about making a performance rating and scoring the criteria. In order to get an IM norm, you must play, I believe, at least 9 rounds in a tournament. Yes, 9 rounds at least in a tournament. And you need to play against at least 3 international masters, you need to meet the average rating of 22, I believe 2280 or 2250. You can check it on the FIDE website, of opponents. So the average rating of your opponents must be around like 2250 or 2280. And then you need to score a certain amount of points from the 9 rounds in order to achieve the IM norm. That's how it works. So 97 was played here by Black. This looked like a hyper-aggressive decision. Now, this is the thing with these young players. So we see Black is this young player, I am from Mongolia. And these players are ready to risk. They're ready to, sometimes they don't care too much about the pawn structure. So he's ready to kind of open the G file, try something here. But objectively, this was a quite dubious decision here. White here, he played D4. The Grandmaster was scared to take on F6. Why was the Grandmaster scared? So White takes. Here, I think knight h4 is quite natural. Looking at the f5 square, queen could come to h5. What was he scared of really? Rook g8 perhaps? But then queen h5. And I don't see what reason he should have to be scared here. I mean, bishop g4, we take queen f7. So I don't know what was the Grandmaster scared about. Knight g6 here. Several moves. Very funny move is simply the prophylactic king h1. I probably would play this move here. Just stepping out of the g file. And again, he can't play knight f4. This is mate. And I don't see what was Black's plan here, honestly. This looks quite unpleasant for Black. The knight will come to f5. And it's not really any attack. And now the bishop here is just looking at this pawn because our king is safe. So I honestly don't know why the Grandmaster didn't go for this. Mr. Ricky Chess, I hope you're a subscriber of the channel. If you're here for the first time, you know, we appreciate new subscribers. You could always be ready. We have top level as well. I'm an international master myself. And I like to bring IM insights. And I'm someone, I'm trying to get a GM title myself, to be honest with you guys. Slowly but surely. But, you know, we have small content creator here, and I like to bring my knowledge and experience. So here, king h1 here, I would have played like this. So to me, I am very surprised White did not take bishop takes f6 here. To me, I mean, most people will take it in a second, but you see, this is the problem that a lot of high-level players have. When two masters play a game, they usually trust the opponent. Like, usually when the opponent makes some suspicious-looking move, my friend. So you see 97 here. It's a suspicious-looking move. Like, generally, guys, I mean, I'm sure you can tell he allows White to double the pawns, and it looks kind of suspicious. And it is a suspicious move. However, because it's played by IM, the opponent thinks, okay, he must have some pointed, he must have some trick or something he has here. But the thing is, it was actually just a bad move. He should take an f6. So that's why you should never just trust the opponent like that. That's never a good idea. So White here played d4, and this allowed Black to consolidate with knight g6. Now the knight came well to g6. It kicks the bishop on h4. The bishop comes to g3, and now the bishop here is looking at this pawn here. Black played queen e7 here. One very interesting idea was to sacrifice the pawn with castles d5 or knight h5. The idea of e d6, you take on g3, you take queen d6, queen takes g3 is now the threat due to the pin. Sorry, my arrows did bad, and queen g3 is not so easy. e5 White cannot play because we take knight captures e5. And this isn't too simple at all for White how to deal with the threat of queen g3. The bishop is strong. If White moves, for example, king h2 out, then bishop g4 comes, and even though Black is down a pawn, he has a lot of compensation here with the two bishops. He has more space, and White is not too sure how he's going to complete this development here. His pieces are passive, pinned. Meanwhile, all of Black's pieces are quite active, and the g4 square is very nice. So that could have been a very interesting option, just to castle and gambit the pawn like that, honestly, guys. In the game, Black played queen e7, so again, Black didn't think too deep. He played this move quite quickly. So you see, an important factor in chess is knowing where to spend what kind of time here. For example, some people play some moves quickly, and some people, they spend too long to make a move here. So you need to know when is a critical moment in chess. That's usually quite important here. Rook e1 was played, so quite a solid move. Stabilizing the center here. So usually in the opening here, it's very good if one side could establish some control in the center and then try to stabilize it, because when you have the center, your opponent always is going to try to destroy it, to break it up here. So you need to stabilize that center. So White is bringing the rook here to stabilize the center. Castle was played, bishop b3. A nice prophylactic move. If black has any c6, d5, the bishop is out of the way. Okay, safe here. Maybe the bishop comes back to c2 to even stabilize the center even further. Bishop e6 was played here. So black has a little bit less space with the center here. So of course he wants to trade some pieces to relieve some pressure here. Knight f1 was played again. White is trying to remove it. However, this was a kind of funny move because the knight doesn't have any future here on g3. It can't go to e3 because of the pawn. I don't know what kind of move was that, honestly. You could have tried knight c4. The knight is putting pressure on the center here. This looks more natural. However, knight f1, rook e8 was played. Solid move, bringing the rook into the game. Bishop c2. White decides to consolidate his center, not allow trades. And this is where we're at. This is the current position in the board. So they're fighting it out here. But to me, it looks like black is... Now, let's see if you'll find the right plan here. One move could be knight h5. Simply looking at the bishop here, keeping an eye on it, and the f4 square. This could be a good way to play. And white is not too easy for white as well, because even though he has the center, he has no clear plan to move forward. Yeah, so let's look now at some other games. This was one game here. So this is the Philip Haring versus the Mongolian Itglet Koyakshog, or however that is. We have this game going on here by... this is a very big fight here. This is... as you can see here with white, we have the German FIDE master John Heinrich versus Mohammed from India, who's an international master here. So let's see how the game went. So it started off here with the King's Indian. So it means black was in a fighting spirit. He's not coming for any easy game. Usually people play the King's Indian when they want to win. He's played this flexible setup against the Catalan with c6, d6. Usually black has intentions bringing his queen out to a5 and even harassing the pawn with queen a6 or queen b4 to harass the c4 pawn. And also c6 kind of blunts the bishop on g2. So that's one interesting idea. e4 is played by white. He's taking the full center here. Knight e7. So now black here, he wants to hit back with e5. And it's very funny. It looks like both sides are played like Fianchetto bishops here. White castles e5. White played h3, which usually is a prophylactic move, not allowing anything to come to g4, keeping the center very nice and solid. So how are you guys enjoying the commentary, my friends? Did anyone learn anything yet? Learn any ideas? You know, I would like for this to be interactive. I don't want this to be just me commentating to myself for 3 or 4 hours. I want to talk to you guys in the chat. All right, my friend, no problem. Good luck at school. My friend from Italy, did you manage to come back to the stream? Let me know if you're here, my friend. Burned, how are you keeping up, Burned? Are you still here, my friend Burned? Thank you very much, Mr. Ricky. You can pass on the channel to your friends, your family. We appreciate any subscription because we are a small content creator here and we're trying to grow. We're trying to grow here. We're trying to be next Gotham Chess, my friend. Except from the Caribbean, because I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. So we're bringing some new things to the game. Thank you very much, Boone. So h3 here. We stop the knight from coming to g4. So again, we see very similar teams in the last game and this game, even though it's completely different openings. So white has the center here. And white is trying to stabilize his center. So he plays like just a calm move like h3, not allowing any knight g4. Because when the knight comes to g4, the bishop could like harass our center and d4. So white is trying to stabilize the center. So rook e8, bishop e3 was played. e4, knight d4. Now the bishop is open, defends the pawn. Knight c5 was played. So again, it's like this game and the last game, they're fighting in the center here. So black is trying to break down the center. He's trying to go like big bad wolf, trying to huff and puff and break down the center. And white is putting up his guard because he knows that he has the advantage with the center. So if he could just protect the center and guard it, then it'll be good. White here played queen c2, defending the center. And of course, black, he could have played queen e7, continuing the attack. But then simply after rook fe1, this is quite unpleasant here. So queen c7. And now, to be honest with you guys, Black hasn't been able to really put too much pressure again in the center, so it's very clear white has an advantage. So our friend Burn says the Italian game is very intriguing. You hate the slow Italian from black side. Look, these slow openings, you learn so much from these slow openings. I'll tell you that right now, because you learn more from openings that more about slow and understanding. However, it depends on your style. If you can't play those positions, you shouldn't play it. So now, black played Queen C7. Our friend Mr. Mohammed from India, the man from India, and the man from Germany played Rook Fe1. Again, he's trying to consolidate the center. So it looks like the man from Germany knows what he's doing. It looks like he's a seasoned chess player. The guys from Germany, I'll tell you from my experience from Germany, they prepare very heavily in the openings. They know the openings inside out. I don't know why is that. But to me, I've been able to make some sort of generalizations from several countries. For example, in countries like Eastern Europe, like Ukraine, Serbia, where I currently reside, like Bosnia, Montenegro. People don't really prepare too deeply openings. They just play like attacking chess, aggressive tactics, very aggressive, and they think they're better than everybody else. But in places like Hungary and Germany and Austria, they prepare very heavily on the openings. It's probably something about the culture or the chess school they had in those countries. But I noticed that. So Rook Fe1, consolidates in the center. Bishop D7 was played by black. So again, he's trying to connect his rooks here, trying to get some counterplay. But white again has a stable position due to the center. Rook A-D1. Now white brings his rook, centralizing. Very natural. Rook A-D8, F4. So okay, white has put all his pieces into place. His knights can't really go any forward. His pieces can't really be improved. So of course, it's time to make some advances in the center. And it's always, white should always be careful that d5 never works. But this is black's like only hope here to get in d5 or some b5 here. But d5 here, simply we can take the pawn here and it's very well defended. Even we can play e5 and then take on d5. h5 was played by black, so he's trying to get some counterplay. White played bishop f2. White, this guy looks like Karpov here, my friends. He's trying to play like prophylactic kind of chess here. Prophylactic chess. Bishop f2, open in the rook. So I'll be looking after h4, bishop c8, knight f3. I like how this guy is playing, honestly, guys. I kind of like how he's playing. He's playing like prophylactically, bringing it back. Now he could hint to take here at some point. Because that will double the pawns and play e5. I'm not sure. I don't think he wants to do that. Knight came to e6. I don't like this move, queen a4. I don't like this move, queen a4. Yeah. I don't like this move, queen a4, my friends. What? Look, all the pieces are in the center. Looking at the center. And this move, it looks wrong. You're moving the queen at the side here, away from all the pieces. And remember, we know here, as I explained, black's only hope is some counterplay with some strike on the king side or the center. But this could end up very badly for white. So white, I don't think he should have gone for any pawn grabbing with his queen. So I really like how the man from Germany was playing until this move. Yes, thank you very much for my friend. I agree with you. I agree with you fully. These days, people who stream chess just do some entertainment or some clown kind of show. But here we like the real instructive chess, actually explaining ideas, actually educative improvement. I always like that because at the end of the day, I'm an international chess master. I could entertain you guys, make a joke here and there. But as a certified chess coach, my main goal is to teach you guys. And that comes across in my teaching style. So queen f4, I don't like the move because you see the queen is going away from all the pieces here. The queen was nice and centralized. If I was white, I would probably play pawn to b4. And I'm moving forward. I have more space. I can consider f5, trying to break open the position. And I'm basically taking as much space as I could and then going to break forward. So queen f4, I don't like this move. And as you can see, it's evaluated as a question mark. Black played a5. I don't like this move by black. So you see, even in master level games, they make quite a couple of mistakes. Now, why is this? Because in these tournaments, there's high pressure. Remember, people come from far away to play these tournaments. Let me tell you something. This guy is coming from India. The plane ticket that he has to pay to come from India to Europe is not cheap. And he has to pay hotel, he has to pay food, he has to pay accommodation. It could well cost close to 1,000 euros this guy from India paid to come to this tournament here. The guy from Germany probably a little bit less because Germany is close, but he still has to pay accommodation, probably some train ticket or plane if he flew. So generally, and they have to pay entry fees. So when people play chess tournaments, especially masters, a lot of people don't see the hidden factors to the tournament. The hidden factors are a lot of people actually have to invest money from their own pockets to come to the tournament. And they invest time that they could be using if they are coach, if they have the students. They miss out on income from coaching the students. They miss out on income from, you could do like a whole course, a good idea in a week. And they have to play a tournament. So if it doesn't go well, the hands are shaking on the board. Have you ever seen when I saw when Gukesh was playing a game and his hand was literally shaking on the board before he made like his move? So a lot of people, chess could be very stressful at times. And let me tell you something very much as a seasoned chess player who's traveled to over 30 countries playing in different chess tournaments over my career. And I've worked with more than 50 students. I know the game very well. And let me tell you something, this tournament play is no joke. We could play here at chess.com. We could sit down in our living room with our chips, our pizza and play Blitz online. But when you are at the real tournament, pressure is there because you invest money, you invest time, and everybody there comes with the same goal to win. Nobody's coming to this tournament to lose or make a draw. Everybody wants to win, and especially we get guys from different countries. In these tournaments from 60s Budapest, we have guys from India, we have guys from literally Mongolia, the descendants of Genghis Khan. They are warriors, they're coming to conquer the tournament. We have guys from Vietnam coming there where I would be scared. These we have people coming from all over the world and we don't know the cultural background. But yes, my friend, I'm telling you, chess is not cheap, especially these days with the world inflation. If the prices over the world have gone up. And remember, if you go a chess tournament, especially these GM events, you need to pay hotel, you need to pay plane ticket, you need to pay food while you are there, and you lose time from your normal job. So a5, I don't like this by black because the pawn is only defended by the queen. I would have preferred the very nice humble move a6. It weakens the b6 square, but here the a5 pawn. Now the queen is tied down to defending the pawn. I don't like that. I don't like to assign such a big piece as the queen purely defensive role because the queen, it deserves so much more. And white now correctly went queen c2. So the guy from Germany is a funny guy. He went here and he realized he messed up. His queen shouldn't be here. But okay, he claimed black made a mistake. And now he actually came back. And it's actually good because black, he weakened his position. Now knight d7. Black said, okay, he played a5. Now his knight could maybe come to c5. So this, it looks like, okay, well, why does it not make sense? This should be fine for black. So b3, white plays. He consolidates his points. Maybe knight comes to a4. He defends a strong point on c4. Yes, the bishop is open, but this is well defended. Knight c5 is played. He plays rook e2. Again, not so easy at all here how to continue here. Because black is quite solid and white doesn't have any e5 break. Black simply will take. And f5 is always how good it is. You can always play like f5 and try to trade the dark squared bishops. So then you leave him with his closed-in bishop on c8. However, you weaken the e5 square. So this is always double-edged. However, white could do this here, he'd be a bit better. Knight d5, rook e2. He probably wants a double here. And this is, I believe, this is the current position they're at. So the man from Germany here, he has a pleasant position. But I'm not sure if he will find the correct plan. Black just played knight f8 here. So again, black is waiting around, trying to see what white is going to do. So black doesn't really have any constructive plan. He has less space. Reminded me of a sort of Maroczy bind position here. So I don't think black has too much to do here. However, he can hope that white over pushes something. Usually how black gets counterplay, he waits for white to play either f5 or e5, and then his pieces come into the action there. So that's that game here. We have the German versus the man from India. We had here update on the game with the Mr. Haring. So black went for the plan we spoke about, knight h5. He took on g3, played c6. We have this position here. I like how it looks for white, because even though black has the bishop pair, white center is completely uncontested now. He has no tension. Everything is well defended. And white could consider playing knight f5 as well. That's a very good square for the knight, believe me. And if black takes, the bishop will be open. It's looking fantastic. So let's look at the other game here where there was a draw. We had a famous grandmaster Vasilos Kotronias with white versus with black Anna Sargsyan. They made a quick draw on 5 moves. Now let me tell you something about these GM tournaments. You see a lot of quick draws. Some people have negative opinions on it. some people have positive opinions on it. Some people, they don't care. But that's a common thing in the chess world, especially at the master level. Look, these quick draws, because sometimes people, they say, okay, you know how much energy I need to play chess. I didn't sleep good. I'm not ready, not in the mood to play so long. 1 second here. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to take a 5-minute break to answer the door. Alright, guys, sorry about that. I'm back. Alright, so yeah, so these quick draws are, for some people have mixed opinions. To me, it doesn't matter to me. People will do what they want. I just know all I can do is play my game, and I don't really focus what other people are doing. But yes, a lot of people make these quick draws. But people sometimes get tired of chess. They just want to go home. So they make a draw here, and especially the last round, they're not fighting for anything. So we took a quick overview of the whole GM A tournament. That was the A group. So now let's see how the GM B group is doing. So we had some quick draws again. We had a friendly grandmaster draw here. 2 grandmasters, they agreed on a draw in 9 moves. I guess they agreed on a quick draw, and then this both started their way home. Okay. We had another draw here. Yeah, let's analyze this game quickly here, see what went on. So with white, we have this Polish IM, Mr. Selzlak Patrick, playing against Grandmaster Vitaly Shivuk. So let's see how the game went here. So the man from Poland played d4, went d6 for the defense. Knight f6, knight c3, plays e5 here. So the filler defense, I guess, is Grandmaster here. He doesn't seem like someone who's staying too up to date on theory. A lot of these older Grandmasters, he's playing, his flag is from Sweden, but he sounds like he has an old Soviet name. So I'm guessing this is an older Grandmaster. He was back in the Soviet times. And those players don't rely too much on theory. They rely more on understanding. And this is a shift between the modern generation and the older generation. The modern generation of chess players rely very heavily on computer analysis, computer preparation, and they trust their special opponents. However, the older generation, the older school of chess, they rely on understanding, skill, and they rely on that to beat the younger generation. So knight f3, we have the filler defense here, where black concedes some space. He gives up the center here. However, he's hoping to solidly develop his pieces and then later have some counter-attacking chances. Bishop c4, bishop e7, castles, and white plays rook t1 here, trying to stabilize the center. So guys, do you all think I will be a good official chess.com commentator? Do you all think I will be a good addition to the official chess.com team as an official commentator? What do you guys think? What do you think, my friend, Mr. Ricky? What do you guys think? Do you guys think the chess.com team is missing me on their team as an official commentator? Maybe they should send me for the World Championship to commentate. All right. So here, rook e1. So while it's consolidating the center of c6. Now here in these positions, a good pointer. It might not work here, but black has always the sly tactics of like knight e4, knight e4, and pawn to d5, forking the bishop and the knight, which is a common tactic to equalize. Here, however, it does not work with knight e4. You can take with the rook, and then d5, you simply take bishop takes, knight takes, and black lost some pawns here, so that's not working. Black played h6, again solid move, waiting, cutting out anything coming to g5. h3, white does the same. So again, a lot of games from today, we saw the same team stabilizing the center and black playing against it. So that's funny how in chess, even through many opponents, we see the same principles and same concepts. So here, white stabilizing the center and black is playing against it here. h3 is played rook e8. Bishop e3 coming out with the bishop here. Again, white is developing. We saw similar ideas. And now e d4, bishop d4. Yeah, well, this looks very nice for white. You see, like the bishop is here, bishop is here. However, the black setup with the pawns on c6 and d6 is quite solid, but you see how many squares these pawns take. They take quite a lot of squares here, and it's not too easy for white to break through. But black is quite solid. He plays knight f8. He wants bishop e6. His bishop is undeveloped. He wants to trade it for the strong light squared bishop. White plays bishop f1, a kind of prophylactic move against bishop e6. Black anyways plays bishop e6. White plays knight e2. Perhaps a5 would have been a good move, gaining some space on the queen side. It's always a useful move. And then again, black cannot break in the center here. But here actually, we could actually undermine it with a6. The idea is we want to provoke b6. And now when we take on d5, if he takes with the pawn, he has the weak c6 square. You can tell that this is why a6 was useful. And if he takes with the knight, we again takes with the bishop, we can go knight e5. And again, this pawn is a little bit weak. We already have the threat of c4. So the move a5 could have been a very interesting try here, trying to set up black to play d5 and trick him with his a6. Knight d2 was played. So he didn't fully understand the position here. He wanted to go knight c4. But I think this allowed black immediately struck with d5. So you see, white here didn't pay attention to the center fully. He allowed knight e2 and black simply struck and everything is okay. Now if e5, black goes knight to d7. This is huge trouble for white because c5 is coming and then d4 will be a fork when the bishop goes back. So white had to take, knight takes, queen takes. And white could be a bit better if his pieces were more active. But the bishop already retreated to f1, knight on d2, bishop on d4. This is nothing here. White played c3 and black simply rook a d8. Now this is not a free pawn. You take the knights, of course. White here played queen f3 and they agreed a draw here in 17 moves because queen takes, knight takes. Black could play, probably could just play c5 here, kick the bishop, and then knight g6. I mean, you could claim that white is slightly better. Bishop b5, the idea is if bishop d7, this will win a pawn. This will win a pawn here due to the pin. So black will have to go back, rook f8. However, everything is defended by black. He's quite solid here. White also has some weak squares on b3 and so on. I don't see why black as an experienced grandmaster should be able to hold this without any problems. So you've played the Philadelphia from the black quite a bit. Yeah, black played very nice here. This is a nice game by black here. I think he actually played quite a high accuracy here. So that was the game, the man from Poland, Patrick Cieslak versus Grandmaster Vitaly Shivuk. Made a draw here. Let's see what other games are going on here. Let's check the man from Vietnam versus the man from India. So we have Mr. Tran Pham with white versus FIDE Master Christian Ridvix. This looked like this came from a Sicilian, so white played the Alapin. Now, usually who plays the Alapin? Now, people that want to avoid the heavy theory of the open Sicilian, and they still want some tricky lines. However, the Alapin here, I don't rate it too highly. Black has quite many solid lines to deal with it here. So c3, knight f6, e5, knight e5, bishop c4. Kicking back the knight here. So usually black plays knight f6. He wants to provoke the pawn to go forward. And after e5, he plays knight d5, sorry. And then he uses the pawn on e5 actually as a kind of hook to quickly open up his pieces and finish his development. c5, knight d5, bishop c4. Black played knight b6, kicking the bishop back with tempo, bishop back. And he played d5, taking the center fully. And now the bishop looks at this pawn here. So if white doesn't take it, then the bishop actually doesn't look too good on b3. It's simply looking at the pawn here. So guys, if anyone that's joining you, we're doing live commentary. This is the official chess.com commentary for the 6 days Budapest Grandmaster and International Master events. These are some very high level events. I've been there. I know how those things are. Very high level tournaments where players from all over the world, more than 10 countries, gather in the same spot, same city to battle it out on the highest level. And we're providing live commentary here. International Master Alan Safar Ramoutar. So d5 was played. White takes on d6, queen d6. So white opened up his bishop now. This is theory. If anyone doesn't know, this is usual theory. And white played knight a3, which as someone who plays the Sicilian myself and play the Alapin, this is a bit of a rarer move. So this is usually a strategy by young players these days. They like to choose lines that are a bit rarer. However, they prepared very deeply with the computer, so that way they know the position very well. And even though it's not too objectively good and black should be fine, they memorized all these computer lines. I'm just going to come and blitz it out and try to catch the opponent. So that's usually the strategy of a lot of young players of today. Knight a3 was played. The knight, it's clear, is looking at b5. This could be a gambit line. Like a lot of times white plays d4, cd4, he wants knight b5, bishop f4, attack on c7. These lines could be crazy. Black played a6, quite solid move. He immediately cuts out the knight from going anywhere. Knight f3 was played, knight c6. All this looks logical. White castled, bishop f5. So this looks like it should be fine. Now, usually what I like to check when we check the games are the time stamps. I usually like to check how much time they spend on what different moves. So here, white, first of all, I see white came late to the game. He spent 8 minutes to play e4, so he probably woke up late. He was probably out partying or something last night, and he came late to the game at 10 a.m., which is the last round. So he came late to his game. Black played, this to say, black played quite quickly, actually. When white came, he blitzed out all his moves. Only the first move he took long because he was late. d5 was played. The black spent some time to play d5. So black perhaps didn't check his Alapin in a long time. He was thinking what to play. Black took some time here. Queen d6. White played knight e3 after 1 minute here. Preparation. So usually I check the opening. If someone plays it quickly, it means they definitely have some preparation here. But chess is a game of thinking. If you play something quickly, it means you either know the move or you're not too smart and you just want to blitz some move out for fun, which is not a good idea. So black played a6. He spent some 3 minutes here. So he probably wasn't too familiar. Knight f3 here. Played white spent 2 minutes too. Perhaps white wasn't in preparation and perhaps white was winging it over the board. Knight f3, knight c6, castles, bishop f5. Black spent some 3 minutes here to play this move. Yeah, it looks like the bishop wants to come to the d3 square. If the bishop could land here, it won't be too nice for white, let me tell you that. d4 was played, pawn takes d4. So black doesn't want to have any annoying threats. And also the more important thing, he's giving white the isolated pawn here on d4. He wants to give white the isolated pawn here on d4. Just give me one second, guys. I need to check something here. All right. So here's cd4 here, knight d4 here, knight d4, cd4. Now, I like these positions with black generally. However, that's my preference. Some people like it with white. Now, the whole concept of these positions is that white has the isolated pawn. Now, what's the isolated pawn? Many of you guys, I'm sure, if you experience chess play, probably heard it. But isolated pawn is a pawn that literally cannot be defended by another pawn of his. So it's like on its own. It's the sole pawn here. It went across, went astray, and no other pawns could defend it. Now, the advantages of it is usually, white has the two open lines next to it. So white has the open E and C lines. And white has the outpost C5 and E5 that the isolated pawns give. So they usually use it as like an attacking kind of soldier, because the isolated pawns helps in all kinds of attacks. Thank you very much, my friend, Mr. Matches Malone. Be sure to drop a good comment here. We We hope to be a big official commentator for chess.com here. Maybe we'll even cover the, I was going to say the Carlsen match, but Carlsen is not playing in the World Championship anymore. He retired from that. So maybe who's playing? Aha. Hey, all right. All right. So CD4. So yeah, so black's goal when white has the isolated pawn. Number one, blockade the pawn. Because if that isolated pawn is like a dog on the leash. If the dog on the leash is not dangerous, the owner has the dog on the leash, the walking around the dog ain't going to bite nobody. But if the dog slips off the leash, the dog going to bite you immediately. So the same thing with the isolated pawn. If the pawn on d5 goes too far, then it's going to cause problems to black, as you could see. Let's just imagine the pawn goes to d5. It already obstructs black from playing e6 and finishing his development quite comfortably. So black's goal is to blockade the pawn and play quite solidly here. And white's goal is to get a lot of activity from the pawn and try to create some threats. So let's see how these masters manage to do it. So Mr. Christian played e6, a logical move, opening his bishop and blocking the bishop on b3. Also looking at the blockading square on d5 here. Quite a good move. Queen f3, queen f3. So white again is playing quite active here. Good move by white. Instead of defending the pawn, he attacks b7 here. Taking on d4 won't be good. It's not queen e3, of course. White, in addition, he can play bishop e3. Here's knight on b6. Oh, that's not going to be good. So queen c6 here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very interesting moment here. And it's a very interesting learning point as well. So queen c6 was played by Black FM Krishnan. And what should white do now? In the end game here, this is a no-go. This is a no-go. Because the isolated pawn in the end game, usually there's no attacks in the end game here. So the isolated pawn, black could easily gang up and take out the isolated pawn. Was now in the end game, usually there's no attack in the end game here, so I believe it's quite logical. Black has a weak pawn on c6, however, this is not too far advanced as the pawn on d4. The pawn on d4 is closer to black territory. The pawn on c6 is still at home base. We're at home here, so it could be defended, and it actually stops the white pawn from going forward. So this would be good for black. So black definitely white doesn't want to allow queen takes f3, let me tell you that one time. A very interesting move is the pawn sacrifice d5. E takes d5 is not possible due to queen f5. Black would have to take with the knight. And then white could play a move such as rook d1. Because again, bishop takes d5. Black is not going to take with the pawn. He's going to take with the queen. And this endgame is similar to a pawn, but rook d1. You see sometimes the isolated pawn, you just give it up to open more lines. And if black moves, but bishop takes d5 is now the threat to take on f5. If the knight, let's say it moves, then you simply something like queen g3. And okay, black is up a pawn. However, how is he going to castle here with this unpleasant pressure here? White is ready to continue developing here. This is actually a bit better for white here. Black is unable to finish his development comfortably. Black should play something like knight b4, looking more at the squares. But then again, after queen g3, the game is quite complex. White maybe wants even some bishop g5, rook c1 here. This could have been a better try for white. White played queen g3, probably, I'm not sure if he thought about the d5 idea, probably not. He's again, same concept, stopping black from developing. Black took on a3 with tempo, and he quickly castled here. And to be honest, guys, I like this position for black, because white has these several weaknesses here. He has the bishop pair, which give him some compensation, and you could claim some attack. However, I generally like the positional triumphs that black has here. So bishop f4 now, so white's being quite aggressive. Bishop e5 or something he wants to play to attack. He's looking at d6 square, so white has a good grip over the dark squares. Knight d5 could have been considered by black. I would play that immediately with black, just blockade. Just blockade the pawn, and the knight is good here. Bishop e5, I can even kick it f6. And this is now not too pleasant for white. Rook a c1, queen d7, bishop f4. And now simply rook a c8. And black is honestly very solid here. The blockade is here. This e6 pawn is not too weak. The bishop is here. This f6 pawn defends well. The king side, the queen on d7 defends well. Black is doing very well. If they go for opposite color bishops, again, there's no attack here from white. This is very nice for black here. Rook a c8. Black played, I would have immediately gone knight d5 just to cut out his bishop, and you blockade the pawn, which is a key rule whenever the side has the isolated pawn. Rook a8, rook c1. Black played queen e4, a nice centralizing move with the queen. Maybe he wants to play queen d3, trade the queens and things. Again, a little bit interesting here. Rook e1. So then we have a what? White now is playing like a game of cat and mouse. So it's a bit clear here that the position is not easy to play with white. He has the isolated pawn, and he knows that if he just sits down and does nothing, he's going to be worse. So he has to do something. So white is chasing around the queen. He's trying something. But could he do something here? It's not free pawn on d4. Black took the pawn. And white played bishop d6. If bishop e5, the idea was black would play queen g4. And now the queens are traded. And it doesn't look too good for black here. However, white has the brilliant resource. Rook e4 with the idea bishop f5, rook b4, and getting the pawn on b7. That's a very brilliant resource. If rook c6, again bishop d4, and we win the pawn on b7. And this endgame, white has the bishop pair, which work very well in the open position. So even though he has these weak double pawns, meaning that black has like the majority on the queen side, on the king side, sorry, it means that, how to do this arrow, I need to figure out the colors on chess.com. It means that white will be fine with the bishop pair. So white tried his bishop d6. Well, what was the idea here? So this is the current position here, where white has 27 minutes. So white, he spent his daytime. White spent his daytime. It wasn't easy at all. White was struggling here. He was fighting. The bishop d6. If the rook moves, what's the idea? This looks. Do I just move my rook? What are you doing? Bishop e5 again, queen g4. And now if the same rook e4. Ooh, black has a very nice move. He has knight d7 here. But now if rook g4, knight e5. And I moved away from rook b4. So white would be in big trouble here. Guys, it looks like white is in some trouble here. White went wrong a bit. White went wrong. So you see in the opening, he played with the isolated pawn. He tried to be tricky. He tried to fool his opponent here with some strange line. But things went for the wrong turn here. It's not looking too good for white anymore, guys. And let me tell you something from all my tournament experience. I know these kinds of positions. I've played many of these positions before in my practice. And they're very easy to go wrong with white here, especially when you have the isolated pawn. You always need to be on your toes. And the pressure of the tournament, the final round here, I can sure Mr. Tran Pham from Vietnam is not feeling too comfortable here. He must be sweating. And remember, he's coming from Vietnam, which is a very warm country. So he must be shivering in the cold winter in Budapest. So I hope he packed his jacket. But however it is, he's definitely sweating here. He's in some trouble. It's not looking too good. Give me 1 second here, guys. I need to check something. One second, guys. 1 second. All right, let's go back. Let's continue. Sorry about that. All right, so yeah, this is not looking too good. And we have a move played. Black, what went on here? Bishop d6, rook f8, bishop e5, queen g4 is on the board. This position is on the board here. So yeah, let's see if black could find knight d7. Let's see if black will find knight d7 here, guys. What do you guys think? What do you guys think in chat? Do you think black will find the knight d7 idea here to avoid this rook b4, rook b7? Do you all think he'll find it? He can first also play bishop f5, rook b4, then knight d7. But knight d7 first is, I believe, should be the same thing. Do you think he'll find it? Who do you think that white will manage to save a draw here? Or do you think black has it in his hands? Let's see what's going on here. So let's see some other games. So we saw the draws. There were 2 draws, Grandmaster Sivuk. We had the 2 Grandmasters here, friendly draw. Let's see how the man from Germany, we have a big fight here, a big fight on the board. What's going on here? Look at this pawn formation immediately sticks out to me. How did black get this? This is a quite weird pawn formation, honestly. This is a big fighting position. Black has like the bishop here. His rook made it to h5. So black has definitely played some very interesting chess. The man from Germany is trying to show off here. Let's take a look at how this game went on here. So it's very clear. This came from a London system. Okay. I'm happy you're back here, my friend from Italy. Good to hear that here. I don't know if the stream works for me. I will check. I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me on my desktop, and I have this ad blocker. I don't know what's going on, honestly. But it's not a big thing. We will continue the analysis here. We're not worrying about that. We have some of our loyal subscribers here looking at the stream and getting some insights in the commentary here. So we're now looking at this game. We have with white feed 2. This is the battle of the FIDE Masters. So these FIDE Masters are ambitious. They're playing in the Grandmaster events, trying to get an IM norm or GM norm. And usually a lot of FIDE Masters make that decision because in order to get the IM norm in a GM event, you just need 5.5 out of 9. And in order to get the Grandmaster norm, you need 7 out of 9, which is by no means easy. Not many people can do that, only best of the best. So knight f3 was playing knight f6, white played d4, and he went for the London system here. So the man from France plays the system from London. The man from Germany plays b6. He's going for like the Queen's Indian kind of setup here, which generally is not considered too good against the London system, actually. I think it's not far from the best system here. However, it doesn't have too much theory. So maybe the man from Germany, maybe Alfred, he didn't prepare against the London system. And sometimes he just decides to play this over the board. e3 here, bishop e7, bishop d3. Black played bishop e7. So now the threat is knight h5. There'll be no bishop g5 because black would take. So usually here, black doesn't play knight h5 because there's very clearly a bishop to g5. And there's no bishop e7. White will happily take and castle. However, here, black now plays bishop e7. He's threatening knight h5 now to get the bishop. So white smartly plays h3. Castles, c5. White defends the center. d6. So again, a very similar team in all the games today. White again is being given the full center. Meanwhile, black is playing quite reserved, not taking the center. Rook e1 is played, so white has hopes of playing some e4. I think it was honestly a strange kind of move. I don't know why he won't first play knight bd2. I don't know why generally in chess this knight has nowhere else to go, so why would you not immediately put it to d2? Maybe he was, I don't know what he was hoping. Maybe he was hoping to take like this, and then his knight could come to c3, but I would have played knight d2 immediately. Knight e7, knight d2, a6, and now, yes, you play a4, you stop in b5, but you could have played e4, because now when you take the full center, again, very similar. So guys, what do you think is the coincidence that in all the games so far, we've seen the same exact team with the center? So e4, and he was probably afraid of b5 here, but white, this is not really doing any threats. I mean, this is just moving with pawns. We have our central position here. It is not scary. White you could consider a4 here, with the idea if b4, we just play a5, just stop the knight from coming in the game, and this pawn center is not scary for us here. This is our pawn center, is very well defended. And remember, if he even takes it, his knight is kind of out of the game as well. We have more space. We have queen e2. We're going to pressure this weak pawn on a6. Take the b file here. It's not looking too good for black. So here, e4, I would not be scared of b5. a4 could be played. In the game, white first played a4. Black played rook e8. White played bishop e8, a kind of prophylactic move away from any e5s. cd4 was played. White took ed4, opening up the rook. And this is kind of restricting black from playing e5. So black is a little bit cramped here. He has a little bit less space. However, he's trying to make use of what he has. Queen c7, queen e2. Now, what's very funny here is the logical moves here for white usually don't work. Like the moves like advancing like knight e4 actually immediately pass the advantage to black. Because black is playing with this very solid and reserved structure. And you'd notice that white actually has like some potential weak squares on the queen side here. But currently it's not noticed because white's pieces on the knight on d2, the bishop on d3 quite well handle them. And it's not noticeable. However, white has more space. And if you would play knight e4, which some might think is a logical move, you're advancing. However, black simply trades everything. And then if he plays like literally just a move like h6, stopping any hint of any knight g5 in the future or anything. Black is actually better here. Black, because the bishop on h2 just looks at the pawn. White can't really advance. If he advance some d5, we just play e5. The bishop on h2 now is like a pawn. And what plan does white have? He has no kingside attack. He has no queenside play. a5, we just play even, we could even take or play b5. And now that these weak squares here are quite unpleasant. And black eventually is going to organize. Maybe some, for example, let's say black moves around. Let's say h6. Let's say white goes back. Black would like to play queen b7 and he's slowly going to go with b5, b4, and he's going to try to create some weaknesses here. So be careful of exchanging pieces like that, guys. Did you guys know that, or are you guys seeing this idea for the first time? So let's see. The queen e2, knight f8 was played. So yeah, white generally should play like one idea is a5, b5, c4. The idea is if pawn takes knight c4, we have the b6 square here, and this is this isolated pawn is not dangerous for us because black cannot really attack it. The d file is closed. Then we're gonna play like rook a c1 and get some pressure in the position. White played knight g5. His idea was after h6. I don't know what was his idea. Maybe he wanted to simply come back and claim he created some weakness because if knight g4 takes, I guess he wanted to take with the knight here. This is a little bit different story. But now if bishop e4, he will take with the queen. And black's light squares are weakened here. We have the bishop here, so this is not too good for black. Maybe that was his idea. Black played knight d5. Threatening knight f4. And the knight. Oh, white, no knight f4. He'll just take with the bishop. You see the bishop was hidden on f2. I almost forgot about it. But the bishop on h2 is out of the game. So I almost forgot about it. So yeah, knight g5 here. Yeah, I think white should just play knight c4. The idea is like if rook a c8, knight e3, and white wants like knight d2, and he wants something on the queen side here. For example, a sample line, let's see knight c4, let's say black plays knight g6. Even you want like a5 or knight b6. So black has to be very careful. If black plays knight d5, even you could play knight e3. With knight e3, you could take even f e3. This would be favorable for white here. This would be a very nice structure. That's one nice maneuver. So in the game, knight g5, knight d5, knight f3. So white, he didn't know what he was doing. Honestly, here it looked like he didn't know what he was doing. He just went with his knight and came back. So black was ambitious. He didn't want to repeat moves. He plays knight g6. Now looking at the f4 square. Oh, very strange decision by white. He gives his strong light squared bishop on g6. Wow. That is the hope and pride of the London system. That light squared bishop is a very powerful piece. Guys, how do you think white could have done this move? It's a criminal move. H takes g6. Knight e4 was played. Maybe what the guy thought, he would use this as a hook. So now he probably thought knight e4, knight g5, and he could possibly organize some h4, h5 and use this as a hook. However, black's pieces are too active and mobilized that I don't think this could work here. I think he gave up the bishop for nothing. Black played knight f6, immediately trying to quench any attack, trade some more pieces. Ooh, Yeah, white things started to go downhill for white from here. He made some wrong positional decisions in a row. So white didn't understand the position. The FIDE master, he probably was not familiar with these kinds of positions here. White took on f6, and black here demonstrated supreme understanding. He took g takes f6. And that's how we got this funny pawn formation here. The pawns on f6, look at all these squares the pawns cover here. They cover almost everything here. Bishop is open, and now the h file, king g7, rook h8 could be used. This is a very solid structure, and the bishop on h2 is not looking too well. It's just staying at the pawn. Knight e2 was played. Black played calmly king g7. Improve his king. Knight c4 was played. White is trying something. Rook h8. I honestly don't know what black is doing here. Black went a little bit wrong here because the rook on the h file. Black is not given any mate with rook h8. You don't have any g5, g4. I mean, white could simply take it here. Black should have just played normal chess. Rook h8, attack the knight, literally force it back, and then just play f5, trying to advance like this. Maybe then even bishop g5, and if allowed, f4. Black went a little bit wrong. Rook h8, knight e3, rook h5 is a bit strange. However, black is still better. So white now, he realized he was in fight or flight mode. He's trying to get some sort of counterplay here to stay in the game. He didn't pay all the way to come to this tournament to lose. So he's trying to fight. He's trying to get some last sort of hope here. Rook e8 was played, and white played b4. So white now, black let it slip. Black let it slip. He allowed too much counterplay here. I didn't like how black played here. Black misplayed this. What is black doing? What rook is doing? H8, h5 is a strange maneuver, honestly. Strange maneuver. b4 now. Now c5 is coming. Even white could take over. Queen d7. a5 was strange. White had this move d5. The idea of e5, this is better for white, clearly. Again, now with bishop d5. Ooh, guys, can you find the move here, guys? What would you guys play for white here? What is the winning move for white here? Suggest in chat, guys. What's the move here for white? Does anyone of you know what white should play here? What would you guys play here? White to play. G4 is the move, my friend, and funnily enough, black lose a piece. So yeah, white missed his chance. White missed his chance, guys. White should have played d5 here, closing the bishop on b7, hemming it in, and now the black both bishops look hemmed in. If e5, cd5 simply, and if bishop d5, g4. Oof. If rook h3, knight d5. If rook g5, h4, and the rook doesn't have the e5 square because of the bishop on h2. White here, so to be honest, guys, both of these players went for the wrong plans. Knight f5 where, my friend Burn? Knight f5 where? d5 takes. Knight f5 here is rook f5, but g4 was simple move. I mean, removing the defender. Rook h3 we take. Our queen defends this on g4. No need to worry. Very funny. After bishop d8, a trick is queen e8, queen g4. But white has simply, you can move your knight back to e3. Or you can just play queen c4 and simply defend. a5 was played by white. So white went for the wrong plan. Black took, traded rooks. And he swapped in. He's going in for some pawn grabbing here. Which he can do because his king is safe due to this whole mass of pawns. How do I get this blue? Now white played d5. But it's too late because white traded off rooks. Position is not so active anymore. And black here has to think what to do. It's black to move, guys. So the game is continuing. White has 31 minutes. Black has 34 minutes. Time is getting low. This last round, guys. Pressure is there. Nobody wants to finish the tournament with a loss. Nobody wants to go home with a loss. Especially after investing money. Come to a tournament like this. Black here played. Ooh, black just takes the pawn. Black here, he doesn't care. He grabs the pawn. He says, what are you going to do? My king is safe. I have this army of pawns around my king. You can't do nothing to me. So black grabs the pawn. Black is up a pawn. And now white has to prove some sort of compensation. So that was the game. The man from Germany. Looking at the GM B group. Let's see who else we have. Let's check in on, we have another game here. We have in the meantime, we have Siddharth Singh from USA, 2385, playing against Mr. Rohit from India, FIDE Master. The current position on the board, it looks equal. It looks equal here. Yeah, the black rook on g5 is trying to annoy white. There's always might be some annoying queen g3 coming. Queen takes b3 is defending the e5 pawn. However, material here is equal, and white's pieces are very well coordinated. The queen and rook stand well, so there's no mate threats. The queen defends on g2 very well, and white has to be very careful here. For example, if rook e2, allowing queen g3, king h1. Here it's very funny, but white could even play h4, just kick in the rook. Just kick in the rook. And the idea after rook h2, simply king h2. And again, if queen takes h3, the idea is the rook could actually get trapped. So white definitely has counterplay here. This should be a draw. It might be a little bit unpleasant for white, as he can't so easily advance his pawns. Yeah, but strange decision actually. Queen f2. Apparently, black could have traded and tried this endgame here with king f7. If white messes up like this, so the white king is kind of cut off here, so it's not so easy to get the white king in the game. But I guess c5 here, and black is fine. c5, king f6, b4, a b4. Yeah, rook b4 and e4 here takes rook d5, rook b4. Yeah, this should be a draw here, although black, it's a bit easier for black. So black played queen f2. So black wants to play for the win, I guess. Rook g5. White should be able to hold this here. Black has a little bit more activity. Should be a little bit more pleasant. But black should be able to hold this. Sorry, white should be able to hold this. Hello, my friend. I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you? So guys, is everything fine with the stream? How is the internet? How is everything? Is the quality good? How are you all enjoying the commentary? So Mr. Siddharth and Mr. Rohit should be a draw. Let's check our friends. Mr. Tran from Vietnam. So black found 97. He actually found it in not too long. He found 4 minutes, 97. White played bishop d6. And black should just play knight f6, rook b4. And he has this funny move, bishop e2. With the idea simply b5. Because rook cannot take due to rook c1. And then bishop c4 is coming. This is completely winning for black. However, in the game, black played bishop f5, rook b4 came, b5. And white managed to get this annoying a4. Huh. And now there's no bishop c4, and the black bishop here, even though it looks good, is actually not participating in the battle. Black played knight c5. White took here. Ooh, I don't like the decision by black here. Black here showed that not too great technique in converting the advantage. He allowed this opposite color. He went into these opposite color bishops. Yeah, I think white should be able to hold this. I think white should be able to hold this. This is much easier than what black could have done. Black could have done, Mr. Krishan could have simply played knight f6. And rook b4, he could have found this idea, bishop b2 to misplace rook, and then simply b5. He can't take rook c1 as mate. And if a4, simply this bishop c4. If takes bc4, the pawn is going, And if rook c1, simply rook e8. This is winning for black. This is winning. So guys, what do you think about the games? How are these guys playing? How are the masters playing? So that looks like the GM B group. Let's check the GM C group. So again, we had some quick draws. We had this guy, this Indian Grandmaster, Sahaj Grover. He made a draw. He probably had better things to do. So okay, he made a quick draw. Probably it was his friend he was playing. They had another relatively quick draw, but not so relatively quick. Let's just start off with this game here. So we have here with white Rahav Eliran from Israel, Jan Grandmaster Potish Hagen from Germany. So he came all the way from Germany to play in the tournament. And this guy came all the way from Israel. I think the direct flights from Budapest to Israel, so the flights are not, I think they're quite reasonable. I think they're cheap, so it's easy to come there. Get some water. All right, so E4. It looks like it was Bobby Fischer's favorite move. E4, C6, Caro-Kann defense, very solid. D4, D5, exchange variation, bishop F4, knight C6, C3, knight F6, the usual main line theory, knight F3, bishop G4. I believe this is the main line, knight E2, defending the knight, queen usually comes to B3, E6, H3. This is a little bit new. Usually they play queen B3 here. Yeah. They played first H3, bishop H5, bishop D3. So white here, he probably prepared some small idea and came to the game with it, because this is not the main line here. White, I guess, is trying to play for a simple game here. He doesn't want any complicated theoretical battle. He's playing some simple ideas. Bishop D3, bishop D6. Takes, queen takes, castles, castles. Queen C2 now. Again, looking at H7. Now, white's best hope in these positions is if black takes an F3, knight F3. And white claims that this is slightly better for white, because white has good control over the E5 square. And the E4 square and his light squared bishop is very good. The light squared bishop and the knight usually go better than the two knights here. And black's plan of playing E5 here is usually not working, but this gives him simply isolated pawn. And white has very pleasant play here. For example, simply rook E1, queen D6. And even a simple but nice idea, bishop E2 to transfer the bishop to F3 to attack D5 is working well. Because black can't so easily get rid of the isolated pawn because of rook AD1 here, and the pawn is dropping here. So that's actually, this is very pleasant for white. So black's, if E5 is not working, then he has to try to go for B5. So let's say rook A8, then white continues. For example, you could even stop B5, queen E2, stop in E4 and B5. Let's say he plays A6, then you can continue knight E5. And now white has some aggressive ideas with F4. And you can see that the light squared bishop, it stops B5, it stops his knight from jumping to E4. This is quite pleasant for white here. So rook F8 was played by black. Unpleasant move. Knight B4 is coming. Oof. Very strange that white allowed this knight B4. Very, very strange. Very strange that white gave his bishop like this. This is a strange decision. Knight B4, queen B1 takes. Bishop G6. Perhaps queen B6 was immediately. No need to wait for that. Simply go immediately. Bishop G6, queen E2. And black played B5, which was not in the best way possible. Let's see how long. Black spent 1 minute before he played bishop G6. Whatever happened to thinking in chess here? I mean, of course, this position looks like white made a strange decision. He gave up his light squared bishop, which should raise some sort of alarm. So black definitely here should have spent some more time. He played too quickly. This bishop G6, he spent 1 minute. I mean, you can't play like that. Bishop G6, queen E2, black played B5. Again, I think it's the wrong plan. I mean, you could have tried to provoke some weaknesses. queen b6, because white cannot advance the b pawn due to c3. And if I move like knight b3, knight wants to come to c5, yes, but now black has an e4 square for his bishop. If I move like knight c5, he could take like this, remember, because the queen can take. It's queen b2, taking with the pawn is not pleasant. So black had some nice ideas. I didn't like this b5, I didn't like this b5. What do you guys think about this b5 move? I mean, I think queen b6, e1, h6 to secure the bishop. But I like b5, rook c1, b4. And white honestly should have taken. And then he gives himself the isolated pawn. However, the pawn is not able to be on any attack. And then knight b3 with the idea to install a knight on c5 and the other knight on e5. And then the knights would find very good outposts. So remember, guys, if you've seen me for the first time, I'm International Master Alan Safar Ramoutar. I come from the Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm the #1 player in the English-speaking Caribbean. I'm a 5-time Chessable author, 5 courses on Chessable. So if you're looking to support me or improve your game, get your game to the next level, you could check out my courses on how I became an international master in only 5 years after learning how to move the pieces, preparation and psychology, where you get a full walkthrough with me and a sports psychologist together in the same course, teaching you about the true psychological insights and in-depth analysis on the psychological aspect and preparation about the game in preparation and psychology. I have a brilliant course on the man, the myth, the legend, Victor Korchnoi, and all the history about him, how they literally kidnapped his wife before he was going to play the match with Karpov. And we have that a whole full breakdown about the life and games of Victor Korchnoi. We have also, you see, I have too many courses in stock. We have also a Scotch Fast and Furious Scotch Gambit, a very amazing, fast, furious, modern engine approved, new novel ideas, Fast and Furious Scotch Gambit for white. And we also have the Slow and Steady, a very nice, practical and rare weapon against Sicilian defense. So if you're struggling with Sicilian defense, as our subscriber Boone can tell you, amazing course, as many other subscribers could see as well. So b4 was played here. Knight e5, attacking bishop on g6. But again, I would have taken on b4. Black took, played rook c7. He's going after the pawn. Rook knight b3, knight d7. Trying to trade the strong knight, takes, knight c5, queen d6, f4. So white is playing against the bishop. He's putting his pawns on the dark squares, and the knight cannot really be removed on c5. Rook c8, rook f3, h6. And they agreed to a draw here. Well, remember, you have to remember the grandma. Oh, no problem, Boone. Thank you for tuning in. See you, my friend. You could take a look. I uploaded a recent YouTube video about the French and some good wins. So I'd appreciate if you take a look at those ones. Like, subscribe, and comment as always. Thank you for tuning in. So black here now, the problem is that black doesn't have an easy way to continue because the knight really obstructs him. And black can't really invade on the b file. He would like to invade on the b file, but b7 is taken from this rook, and one rook is not enough. One rook on b8, it can't come here. The queen defenses. Both rooks can't really come to the b file. And white could even, perhaps, I can imagine him organizing the queen trade with queen at e5. And in some future, maybe queen e5, king h2, g4. And white starts his own attack. Because the knight on c5 is defending the position quite well. So they agreed on a draw here. The position is quite complex. However, I guess the grandmaster wanted to just go home is the final round. Rooks, now, let's say white plays some king h2. An exchange sacrifice like this, it could work, but it would also be risking. It would be risking the position here. I mean, black has enough compensation with a strong bishop and the pawn. However, this could be a little bit risky as well for black here. So the grandmaster probably didn't want to go for that. So we saw 2 draws. We have the man. We have the local grandmaster from Hungary, David Birches, versus the man from Japan, Otsuka Shu, FIDE master here. The position looks a little bit level with the opposite colored bishops. However, don't be fooled by the opposite colored bishops. A lot of people think it's a draw. However, the opposite color bishops could be used as a very nice attacking tool. Because for example, the white light square bishop could attack the light squares. However, the black dark square bishop cannot defend those light squares. So white is able to organize perhaps the regrouping of his bishop if it could safely land on c4 with some a4 and he could pressure on f7. Then white could hope to have something here, and maybe he could use his double f pawn to kind of open up the black king side. So I would generally prefer this for white. With black, it's much harder for black to create a pass pawn with b5, c4 here. So how did this happen here? So this came from the Catalan. Black played a very strange double fianchetto, b3, e6, knight c3, knight e4, takes, bishop g5, attacking the queen, queen e8, queen d2 simply, knight c6, d5. Whew. So the grandmaster was ready to give his rook on a1, the exchange. But yeah, bishop a1 doesn't work here with dc6, and we're attacking d7. We're going to take cd7 and even push d8 queen. So the bishop, and if he takes back, we'll simply capture his bishop here. So black couldn't take on a1. He took on f3. And here the grandmaster made quite an interesting decision. He didn't want to allow bishop f3, knight d4 to attack his bishop. He didn't want to allow this. But then e takes d5 and e2 is under attack here. And the grandmaster, he didn't want to go for this. So instead he took with the pawn on f3. He spent 24 minutes to take with the pawn on f3. The Hungarian grandmaster, well, we have to remember here, he's from Budapest, he's from home, so he probably, to go to this tournament, he is relaxing here, he's playing in his hometown, he has the hometown advantage, whereas this man from Japan, he traveled a very far away, he paid his money, plane ticket, hotel, probably paid up to €1,000 to attend this tournament. The man from Japan, imagine you pay €1,000 to come to that tournament, and you want to just make a draw with everyone. You just throw away your money. You waste your money, man. People shouldn't play chess like that. So ef3, knight d4. White got his rook out of any possible discovery. And black here took on. Very strange. Very strange move. Very strange move by black. I think that's a very, very questionable move here. Because now he's opening up the rook e5. Black should have played c5, simply consolidating his knight on d4. And if dc6, simply d takes c6 and the other pawn goes to c5. This would have been much preferable. I don't know what's this e5. What was his idea? His idea was if d5, he wants knight e2 and a fork here. But white played rook e1 in between move. How long did black take here to play this e5? So he spent 15 minutes before he could play this garbage move, e5. Rook e1. Okay, with tempo, rook gets developed. Oh, whew. This does not look good for black. This does not look good. The queen is dancing around. White has all his pieces in the game. This pressure here. I ain't like this for black. Black now tried c5. I don't like this move by white. I don't like this move by white. I don't like how white played here, no. Why would you give your strong advanced d5 pawn and allow black to solve all his issues? The move d6 was very nice also, cramping on the position. If knight d6, bishop e7, f4, f5 will come. d6 would completely put like a bone in the throat of black's position. White should have went for this for sure. Maybe he couldn't evaluate it, but sometimes when you advance a pawn far, you're not too sure if it's weak or if it's strong. I don't know why he didn't go for it. He took here, but now it looks like white has some pressure here. Maybe he thought he would get his c6 pawn, but now all of black's pieces are active. He has no problems with space here. Very questionable decision by white. White played bishop e3, black simply defended, takes. Queen c2, f4, rook b8, rook d1. And this is where we got this position where white is only slightly better here. I don't like how black is playing also. Black is placing like all his pawns on dark squares, But if white is able to set up a blockade with a4, bishop e2, bishop c4, he would be better. But here, however, a4, black has b5, my bishop e2. He has to move rook e8 with the idea. Some queen e6 here. But white's time is very low. White has like 5 seconds. Whoa. White here is playing on the increment. White here played a4, but white's time is very low here. White has literally 35 seconds against 41 minutes. This is getting very tense here, guys. Let me tell you something. Some grandmasters, this reminds me of Grischuk. Let's come back to that game. There are 2 draws. We have this tense game. We have here Senthil from India, Senthil Maran, IM versus the IM from Poland, Mr. Razcek, Christoph. So here it currently looks like black is better here. If we count the material here, material is equal. However, white just played a quite questionable move. In fact, the material is not equal. Black is up a pawn here, guys. Black is up a pawn, but it's a double one here. Yeah, there's too many weak squares like knight c3 here. The rook has the b file is a weakness here. Black white pieces are kind of passive here. So yeah, black is much better here. Knight c3. And remember, this pawn on b3 is defended by the knight on c5, which could be hit with a possible bishop f8 to kill the knight, and simply the pawn is not looking good. Black should be better here for sure. So we deal with that game. We'll see how it's going. This game, this looks very interesting. The current position we have here, we have I am from Tui. Where's this man coming from? This man is from Tajikistan. Alright, and we have with black, the I am from Greece. He didn't have such a good tournament. He had 3.5 out of 8. Lost 7 elo. So in the current position here, it looks like it's a madhouse here. What's going on here? What's going on? 3, 5. So white has 5 pawns. Black has 4. However, black has the dangerous outside pass pawn. What we may not notice is black has the extra exchange, which is a key detail in the position. Thankfully for black, black has a strong dark squared bishop. Without this bishop, the f6 square, all the dark squares would collapse. But thankfully, he has his dark squared bishop here. So black should be better here. He should be able to play queen d6, going for a queen trade. And if he manages to trade the queens, he'll slowly organize the advancing of his pass pawn. So white would love to keep queens on the board. But remember, some queen c2. There's even here a very strong move. Bishop g7 could play. But bishop f5, looking at the pin, the idea of queen b2, eliminate that strong knight. And then this will easily be winning queen d6 here. Now, the white king is weak. This bishop ain't too good. After queen b5, there's at least queen e5 here. Picking off the pawns here. Black is winning here. So, let's see how white will react. If he plays queen c2, he'll run into that bishop by f5. So, queen d8 here. Black should definitely play here. If queen b7 trying to stay in the game, black can chase him. So, black has the advantage here. However, white has some compensation. I think the game was a bit crazy here. I don't think it was that easy here. Yeah, this came from the Benoni. Take a quick look. So black played the Benoni here. So usually someone plays the Benoni when they want to get the win. Black came in a fighting mood. We had the Benoni and white chose the Catalan setup. Went for the Benoni. Knight c3, bishop g2, knight f3, castles. So in this opening generally, so black has less space. However, his dark square bishop is very strong and it's very easy for white to go wrong. And if white goes wrong, then there'll be a lot of holes in his positions, especially across the dark squares. So black has ideas. One idea is to go on the queen side with some b5. Next idea is to simply give his bishop because, black has less space. So when you have less space, you trade pieces and then maneuver within the space that you have. So rook e8 was played, rook e1. This is theory here. One funny idea is knight e4. The idea is, I believe, if knight e4, rook e4, this one idea here. The funny thing is, if white plays like a move like a4, many times the rook goes to b4 actually, and it's very good here. So that's one funny idea. Bishop f4, there's knight e4 also. So again, black likes to open up his bishop. less space. And one idea, the funny ideas of knight d2, rook b4 is one idea. However, one of the funny idea was this exchange sacrifice. That was a debated line where black sacrifices the exchange but claims he has the powerful grip against the dark squares and he hopes one day to get some either kingside initiative or gets his pawns rolling, some compensation. However, according to theory, white is a little bit better here. So someone is asking me, our friend here is asking me 6 days, but what does it mean? This is a tournament. What it means is 6 days Budapest is the name of the tournament, but it's basically why they call it 6 days, because it's a tournament in 6 days. So the tournament is in 6 days. So they have like a lot of double. They have 9 rounds and there are a lot of double rounds. What kind of tournaments are these? They are Grandmaster and International Master tournaments. Today we're covering only the Grandmaster tournaments. We're mainly focusing on that because there are 3 different Grandmaster tournaments. In each tournament, it's closed tournaments. They are known as Grandmaster norm tournaments. In each tournament, there are 10 players, 3 Grandmasters, and 7 title seekers who are trying to become Grandmasters. The Grandmasters are paid to play, and the foreigners have to pay the entry fee to play. And why they organize these tournaments is because if you score 7 out of 9 points in these tournaments and make what is known as a Grandmaster performance, you get a Grandmaster norm, and you need 3 of these Grandmaster norms to become a Grandmaster here. So if anybody knows the famous young Grandmaster Mishra Abhimanyu, he got his Grandmaster title by playing in these tournaments actually in Hungary. So the point of these tournaments is because when you play in an open tournament, there's certain criteria that you need to get a Grandmaster. Now, you need to play a specific number of foreign opponents. You need to play at least 3 Grandmasters. And you're not always guaranteed that in open tournaments if you want a Grandmaster. No. But these tournaments, they give you the specific conditions required. You play 3 Grandmasters, you play all the foreigners, you have the average rating of at least 2380, which is what is needed to get the Grandmaster norm according to the World Chess Federation regulations. So these tournaments are a chance for you to get these Grandmaster norms. They, I believe, well privately organized by organizer in conjunction with the Hungarian Federation, I believe. And this opportunity also Grandmasters earn. They are paid to play. Foreigners have to pay to enter, and the organizer, of course, makes some profit, and an arbiter too. So let's see here. So castles here, rook e8 was played. No, the castles, rook e8, rook e1. Black played knight e7. He didn't want to go for knight e4, the traditional line. He wanted to play more fighting. So he played knight e7. How long did he spend here? Black blitzed this out, so theory here. White played bishop f4 and black played knight g4. So black here looks like he's a Benoni player. It looks like he's an expert here. He plays this many times. The idea is if bishop to d6, there's double attack, queen b6 here, which would not be good for white at all. If h3, knight e5 simply. So very nice. Black is playing along the dark squares and he doesn't mind having this less space advantage here. Very good, my friend. I'm glad you understand it. White plays queen e3, which was queen c1, which was not too good. Black was able simply to take bishop f3, so other knight comes c5. So again, we always know that in structures where one has less space, it's always good to trade. So now black is happy with the remaining pieces. He has a strong knight, the bishop, and this bishop exudes pressure on h3. So black just traded one knight. Because for example, these could be known as like the super florist knights. This was a concept spoken about by international master Mark Dvoretsky when 2 knights want to go to the same square. For example, the knight on d7, it would also like to be on e5, but only one of them could be there. So a good idea sometimes just to trade one knight so the other knight has nothing to complain about. So knight f3, bishop f3, knight e5, bishop g2 simply. a6 here was played, so black wants to start counter attacking with b5. White played a4, stopping that. Black played rook b8, he's insisting on his idea. Knight e4, attacking perhaps d6 pawn. Bishop f5, black now develops. Knight e2 and black strikes with b5 here. He sets his plan into action. White took, played g4, kicking back the bishop. Black happily went back. He doesn't want to go to d7. Knight may need the square, and also after knight e4, d6 is hanging. The bishop goes to c8, defending the pawn. Knight e4, queen e7, g5 was played, so white perhaps wants some knight f6, sacrifice the knight and plays on the dark squares. Nice idea. Bishop f5 here. White played knight g3, which was quite suspicious move. White could have gone for this interesting knight f6, and after takes, bishop g5 here. The queen has to go back here. White could chase him, then if he comes back, chase him, and then he has to go back here. And after like bishop h6, black is up a pawn, but it's not that easy for black to make big progress here. The queen is kind of out of the game for now. And if queen back to f6, white would terrorize him with a draw. However, white went wrong with this knight g3. Black moved his bishop, but funnily enough, white did not want to take the bishop. This is better for black here. This is much better for black. This pawn structure this pawn is not weak. Black's pawns, even though they are double pawns, they have no weaknesses at all. White cannot exploit it. And black has a dynamic bishop on g7, and knight could even pounce these pawns. Going to keep going here. Black should not have been afraid of this here. If, for example, even bishop d2, black can go knight g6, even f4. He can consider at some point. This is not looking too good for white. Too much pressure here. If white plays like, what could white play? I mean, yes, if he defends his pawn here, like even black could use a g file. He wants king h8, rook g8, king h8, rook g8, f4, and try to gang up on g5 pawn is one idea. Bishop d7, so black here, he didn't realize that was good, and that could have costed him, because white now is actually fine here, so black should have realized that. Rook e8 was played, rook takes, and b4. White here, so white here played very dynamically here. Rook takes, b4. He's given up a pawn, but he wants his queen to come in. It takes queen c7. So very dynamic play by white. Now d6 looks like it's fallen, but black has a strong pawn going down. So b3 was played. Rook b1, stopping the pawn. b2, a strong move by black. Black wins the exchange like this. And now bishop d6 was played here. Queen d8. Oof. White took on d8, rook d8. And now we have this endgame here. And the point is, can the IM from Greece convert this endgame here? That's going to be the major question here. That's the major question here. Rook d8. Bishop c7 was played. I guess rook e8 will be played here. It's not too sure what's going on. But black is with much better chances. Let's see how it progressed. The game, white. This went a wrong turn for white here. Remember, after he played a4, b5 came. So black got his pawns going, trying to open up the queen side here. Queen c5, black took here. Now black has the outside pass pawn here. Can he make something of it? King g2, queen b4, trying to trade the queens. Queen a7, rook, time is getting low, 12 seconds. Rook b1, Grandmaster Birch's place. But black here, he should not rush. He should take his time. He has 33 minutes here. He has more than enough time to sit down, make a plan, try to see, can he make some use of this pawn on a5 here. If he could, he has some chances. In reality, the game should be a draw because it color bishops. White has always this counter play here, especially if the bishop could get onto this diagonal. It might even be deadly. So let's see what's going on here. This game, it looks like this will be a game to focus on. Remember, white has only 44 seconds here. Here we have the game. Ooh, this didn't go good for black. Knight c3, kick the rook. Rook a8 now. Ooh. Rook a1 wants to come here. Bishop e3. There's knight d1. So yeah, black is completely falling apart here. Knight a4, but simply knight a4. What is this? Rook bishop b2 takes. Yeah, I think yeah, this is a resignation should come soon. Maybe he wanted rook a2, but okay, simply knight b6. He probably missed this. He missed that actually. He missed the backward move, knight b6. So he just blundered his knight. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, black is now up a piece. He'll win quite easily. Yeah, this game still has to move here. He's playing on bishop c6, knight b6, bishop e3. Yeah, no way this is black. White just has a pawn. No way, this, yeah, completely lost. Completely lost here. Yeah, there's nothing to discuss. Nothing to discuss. This game is over. Black will win. Meanwhile, let's see how. Oof, this game is getting. Oh, this game is. Oof. Rook b1 here and black. Queen d2. Black comes in here, but. Oh, wait. Black is not thinking about his own king. Black is not. What about rook e2? Same attacking queen, and then rook come into b7. Let's stay on this game. This is getting interesting. White has 20 seconds. Time's ticking on 20, 19. Ooh, 18. Ooh, 17 or 16. Ooh. Make a move. 13, 12. Ooh. Grandmaster sweating his chest. Hand is up on over the pieces. This definitely is not looking good. 6, 5. Ooh. He has to be very careful. Each move his flag could possibly fall. Ooh. Rook e2. He makes him move just in time with 2 seconds left on the clock. Huh. Black here again, 31 minutes. But you see the problem with Black, if he's a master from Japan, he's probably not too experienced. And he's not taking his time. He's blitzing out his moves as well, which you should never do when you have much more time than your opponent. You should play according to your pace. However, he's nervous. Tension is high. And definitely, he's feeling the pressure. He thinks he should be able to win. Okay, my opponent, every move has like, again, 2 seconds. I should win. Where's the win? I should be able to flag him. But now Black there's a 30-second increment which saves lives. So it's not so easy at all. Time is going down. Time is going down. How will he react here? How will he react? One second, guys. What's going on here? So Rook e2 is Black to play. So Black's now starting to think. All right. So Rook e2 now. It looks like Black here. What's going on? What's going on here? Tension is high. Rook e2. What is Black going to do here? Black is thinking here. Black is now realizing that he might be in some grave danger. Oof, Blackie went rook f8 passive. Should have gone rook a8. Why would you put your rook on the passive square? Should definitely have gone here. I don't know what possessed him to put his rook on such a passive square. Things are heating up now in all these games. Let's see how the other groups are doing. So I guess GM has only 30 seconds here. However, the Japanese guy is starting to think. Grandmaster A, we have... So they agreed to a draw here. Eventually, White didn't manage to do anything here. He moved around his pieces. What kind of move is knight b1? And come on. Knight e2. Ugh. He's playing two positional and they just moved around and yeah, he didn't know what to do, so they agreed to a draw here. Now black could have even played queen c3. Queen's off the board, the space advantage is not felt. Here we have Grandmaster Haring from Slovakia. It seems like he went wrong. He played knight f5, takes, knight f8. Now the opposite color bishops, bishop on a7 is kind of open here. Bishop e4. He should have played this bishop a4, pinning this pawn and bringing some siege. He played bishop e4 and rook a8, queen b3. And now the black bishop on a7 is actually very good. It's bearing down at this f2 pawn. It ain't looking too good for white, to say the truth here, guys. This ain't looking good for white. Rook e2. Knight e7. Rook d1. Oof. Knight f6. So now white's bishop looks like a pawn. So black slowly started taking over. The knight is coming in here. Knight e2 was played, queen e7. So the Mongolian Genghis Khan was taking over the initiative here. He's playing for his ancestors. Queen d7. Now it looks very fragile here. Black has a good bishop. The center is fragile. Grandmaster misplayed this, queen a4, just taking it, trying to at least get something, but simply queen c8, he moved back. If dc, then d5 would be very strong here. That was actually played. Wow. Found out cb, rook b, and now the center is coming. The bishop is open here. White queen is offside. Ooh, bishop d3, rook b2, and oh, this is not looking good for white. c3 is weak, f2 is weak. Black has full center. Black has good chances here. White also has less time, to mention Grandmaster Group B. Let's see how the game is going. Mr. Tran Giao Phuc Pham from Vietnam. It looks like Krishan from India, he messed up the position. We knew he was winning. Now this, he messed it up. He went into the opposite color bishops. We saw here he should have played knight e7. He should have played knight f6 with the bishop e2 idea and b5. But he messed this up. He allowed the opposite color bishops and white defended very well. You see, he defended very well. In the end game, opposite color bishops are always a resource to defend. In the middle game, they could be used to attack. But here, f3 took, rook d2, bishop d4, a3, and black can't make any progress. White will easily defend this. This pawn can't go anywhere, and this is an easy draw. Yeah, now everything's going to be trade. It's going to be a draw, no question. So black messed up his chance. He's going to be going home unhappy for sure. Here, let's see how the man from Germany was doing. So here what went on. So yeah, we saw when black took the pawn on a5. That's what we last saw. Rook b1 was played, bishop c8, d6, bishop e6, knight d5, bishop f8 was played. Kind of passive move. Black should simply take the pawn. Just take the pawn. I mean, a pawn is a pawn. Queen e6, queen e4. Then you go with your d pawn. The rook is under attack, so you can't take the pawn. Bishop f8, bishop f4, rook c8, simply queen c5 was played. Then he took on d5, a5. Black is still better here. Black has the extra pawn, rook a8. He can try. Yeah, black is more pleasant here. It's definitely suffering for white. Let's see how it's going in GMC again. So GMA, we have the Mongolian is doing good. GMB, we have this game draw, and the Krishan looks like a draw. The man from Germany is trying to defend, but no, sorry, the man from Germany is black. He's pushing. In GMA, it looks like the Mongolian is doing very well. Ooh, queen a6 was played, and then queen c3 at least. Let's see GMC. It looks like the man from Japan is taking a long thing now. After rook e2, he played too fast and now he's using his time. I don't think he's feeling too happy now. Yeah, white is going to get rook b7 coming in next. And white, I'm sure, is thinking on his opponent's time for sure. So, guys, what do you think about the games, guys? What do you think? How do you think the games are looking? Here, after rook f8, king g2, bishop f5, knight d6. It looks like, okay, white is getting some counter. If he could take the pawn on b5, for sure he should be fine. If he goes b4, knight f5, gf5, d6, this might not be too bad. d7 is coming, and bishop e5, bishop d5, simply stopping the pawn. This wouldn't be too easy for black to win here. Black, I think he went wrong putting his rook on f8. He didn't evaluate, he didn't assess the position properly. So what do you guys drop in the chat? What do you think about the games? Guys, so what do you think about the games here, guys? What do you all think about the games? We have this Grandmaster event we're covering here. Looks like some fighting games where some people were not in any fighting spirit. Guys were no fighting spirit at all. Some guys took a draw, they went home. They spent €1,000 to come just to make a draw and go home with minus elo. Never a good situation here. So to make like a final recap here of what's going on. Well, big shout out. We had one guy from Poland, Mr. Paszewski. He took a IM norm in the GM section. He was, I believe, he's the only person in the GM section who took a norm. So he did very well. He's going home happy. Final IM norm. He just needs to rating to become an international master. So let's see what else is going on. So this game I predict. Not too sure what to predict. Give me 1 second, guys. Need to check something. All right. So, yeah, this position here is very complex. I think, it should most likely could end up in a draw. Both sides have enough time to reason out the position, to think about the intricacies. This could be a draw, even though it's very complex. Other games, Grandmaster Berches. I think I will be supporting him here. I think he may even win rook b7, counterplay. The guy has only 32 seconds, but he's a seasoned Grandmaster here. These moves will just flow like rook b7, will flow like water. Rook b7, rook e7. This is unpleasant for black. The man from Japan, he moved too fast. Let's see what else we got going on here. GMA. Yeah, this here somehow queens were exchanged. He took on a6, he played rook a2. Better was knight g4, of course. Of course. Took rook a2, rook b8. And now white apparently has very nice move, very funny move here. Knight e4. The idea discovered on the rook. If knight takes e4, there's rook a2. Discovered here. So bishop f2, rook f2, knight f2, rook d5. This is a funny line. And if rook e2, knight f6 takes, bishop e2, draw. Rook b2, simply king f1. So that's a funny line here. So black messed up. So the question is, if white could find this knight e4, he'll be doing very well. He'll be surviving. Let's see what else is going on here. All right. So let's see other games. So looks like this, if the Grandmaster from Slovakia finds 94, could end up in a draw. GM Group B. Yeah, this Christian Ritwik will end up in a draw, the opposite color bishops. GMB. Yeah, here, Black should be able to take this point home here. He has the extra pawn time. He has a stable time amount here. I think he should be able to take this one in. It's not that easy to get the pawn going, but it's the principle of two weaknesses. So if he could manage a second weakness, perhaps some counterplay against White's king, improve his bishop, should have some chances. Let's check GMC. Ooh, this thing is actually not looking too good for Black now. The bishop's on attack on D6, D7 is coming. Bishop C1. D6 is a mistake because of bishop G5. But White could simply play E3. But it's not an easy move. The idea is B3, you simply give up. The pawn was B2, you take knight B2. Bishop takes D6, and very important, the F6 square is covered. Let's see if White could find us move E3. If he doesn't, he's lost. It's not that hard to find E3. I think he might find. He has 17 minutes. So let's see how Grandmaster birches if he'll manage to find a move. So here the Japanese guy is thinking long. Here now White is in the driver's seat. Rook B7 is coming. F7 will be under siege. Rook E7 is coming. White has 32 seconds. The position is good. I don't know where you see. I'm sure his Grandmaster's experience playing under tank trouble. But it's definitely not a pleasant situation at all. Alright guys, we'll look. Queen C3. Okay, let's let him go. Let's see him go. Let's see him go. Time is ticking down. 26, 25. Whew. Let's see if he's just going to drop his rook to B7 and just attack. That's usually the best thing to do when your time is just attack. Let's see what he's going to do. Grandmaster Virtus. Rook B7. Rook F8 immediately played by Black. Immediately. Whew. How is he going to continue this initiative? Time is going down. It's 37, 36. What's going on here? $17. Ooh, this is tricky. This is tricky. This is very tricky here. The guy grabs 7. He doesn't know what to play. He doesn't know what to play. Don't tell me time is gonna fall. Oof. He plays Rook C7. He finds the best move just in the nick of time. What is Black going to play? How is Black going to defend? The pawn on A5. If Queen B4, then Rook E7 will come. What is Black going to play? Black's time is going on. He has 15 minutes. Guys in chat, how are you all enjoying the games? Drop in the chat what do you all think about the games. What do you all think was going on here? Drop in the chat, guys. What do you all think? Who are you all supporting here? White or black? Black now has to finally move rook c4 to give up completely the a5 pawn, but I'm not sure if he'll find that. Yeah, here it looks. What's going on here? Did White find 94? No. He did not find it. He didn't find 94. He should have been looking for his tactics. Instead, he sacrificed the exchange, which gives him some sort of fortress. Otherwise, king h2, you can Black not simply take here. I don't know what he missed. Looks like Black might win this one. It is not easy for the man from Germany to press. It looks like White is for now managing to hold back. He's tied down Black to the pawn. Might be able to hold this. GMC. So the man found e3, then f6. Ooh. That was not a good move. d6. d6. Rook f7 to stop d7. But then gf6. b3. Very funny. Unbelievable move. Knight e5. Look at this crazy line. Hello, my friend. Hello. We were covering today a GM tournament from Hungary. And if b2 here, knight f7, you allow him to make the queen. And then simply d7. Wow. Queen e4 check. King moves and then no more checks. That's a brilliant line. Can White find that? The game's again very interesting. Black here still doesn't know what to play. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for some local greetings. Rook c7. So Black still doesn't know what to play. So we cover in some Grandmaster norm tournaments in Hungary for chess.com here, and it looks like the game's heating up here. We have one Grandmaster. The guy only had 32 seconds. The opponent 10 minutes. Position heated. So Black just make a move queen before. He want to defend his pawn, and White coming down here. This ain't looking too pleasant for Black. So Black has to find the move rook c4 to trade rooks and give up his pawn, but that's not a pleasant decision to make because Black could only pray for a draw here. And here, this position here, the guy played f6. He thought after d6, he's smart. He played rook f7. But then we see White has his gf6. And after b3, the brilliant move, simply knight e5. Wow. And b2 sacrificed the queen. Wow. Even look at this line. Takes. And d8 queen. Knight f7 check, knight d8. And White is winning with 2 extra pawns in the end. Very tense, very tense. GMC. Two very intense games. GMA. I don't understand some people here. The man played rookie too. Why he ain't take the free pawn here? Some people strange. Rook F2 Bishop F2 simply. Who he miss? Why I don't know he didn't take that pawn and he played rook E2. And white should simply play F3 and defend his knight. White played bishop C6. People strange, you know, opening up the man rook. Simply F3. Should take the pawn here, but strange chess. Strange chess being played. Some people strange chess sometimes. Them master and things make some strange moves. So as we would say, some dotish moves. So here, man, I can't believe what we see in here. So a few moves ago, black was what it seemed to be here up a pawn here. For extra pawn, the pawn should be going, his king safe. His bishop bad here, but he shouldn't be worse. Now, he up a pawn, but he allow white to somehow organize some sort of attack. And black is worse. Here we 4. Queen D2. And the queen coming in. Oh God. They say looking good now. A3. You on rook H4. Checkmate coming. People messing things up. Anything. What you want to improve? Do you have any specific areas you want to improve? What you think you need to improve in chess? Depends what you think your weaknesses are. If it's 1647 FIDE, I think you should work on calculation, improving you should do some of those tactics manuals. Like this, I recommend one book always, Maxim Bloch, the art of combination. So if you're positional and you believe you're strong there, then you should work on the opposite side. You should do some of these tactics manuals, like these big books with 1,000 puzzles. You should solve some of that. And you should work on your calculation, tactics, your visualization in chess. And of course, some of the general principles, guidelines that should take you up to 2,000 already. So let's see what's going on here. Oh God! Oh God! The man blunder, he rook. What going on here? What went on? Rook E7. Queen A2. Man played rook D7. He played A4. And he just took the rook. The FIDE master 2350. He was doing fine. Few moves ago, the situation was this. The guy had like 22 minutes to 30 seconds, and now the man with 22 minutes just blunders rook. Oh my lord, what's this? If queen B2, rook simply could move. Wow. If takes, A3, simply bishop D5 and just going for mate. King is safe. Wow. Wow. White even with such low time. Yes, a 2350 FM from Japan blundered this. Wow. Blunder is rook. Huh. That would be a hard one last round. So is the guy with white here going to find the idea? So rook F7. So is white going to find his G takes F6? I mean, what else he could do? You know, I mean, he really don't have anything else he could try. I mean, he could be scared and play like this. But it's this real scared chess. This real kind of scared chess. So is white going to find G takes F6? Nah. He done leaves a seasoned player, man. That's one of the best players in Trinidad, man. That's a seasoned player. He took on F6. Wants to play So I believe maybe he found the idea. 95 is coming. This shaping up to be a brilliant game by white. GMA. This one, black managed to enter. Here, white is still trying to defend the whole draw. It's not going to be easy. Very funny. Yeah, he resigned. Yeah, white won. He just blundered his rook. The guy had 9 minutes. Now, what I don't understand is he has 9 minutes with black, and he immediately in 1 second plays his move, 1 second, and just blunders his rook. Why the man no sit down to think? Why he didn't sit down to think? A4, rook d4. The man, That's why you should always double check before you make a move. Might blunder your rook. Yeah, this here is getting quite interesting. GF6. Man plays b3, so now he has to find 95. So do you guys think he'll find 95? It's quite forced. 95, b2, knight f7. Yeah, this getting heated up here. Checks, captures, and threats. That's always a useful one. See any other games? See, I know what kind of thing is this, you know. This was a hammy here on the chess.com TV broadcast. This was a hammer stream, but the thing ain't working. So now this one here, oh, it looks like white will actually hold this. Black messed something up. G4 takes. Yeah, this bishop is going to stay here, and it's hard for black to advance any pawns or anything. This looks okay. This looks okay for white. This looks okay for white. Huh. Looks like white, oh god. White didn't see the move queen d2. What these people are, oh god, what kind of move is this? What kind of move is this? Just take the pawn. What's this bishop f6? Take, come back. What checkmate he given here? What he wanted? He missed here. He forgot about queen e5 check. What kind of move is this? He missed queen d2, and now black again in the driver's seat. Now black gonna play d5. His bishop gonna come out. Black could hope to win this. People making plenty mistakes. That making me feel like I want to go to a tournament, you know. That making me feel like I had to jump in there. I should have been playing. The GMC. Man finds 95. So white might even win this one, huh? White might win this one. Black probably ain't feeling good at all. D7 and wow. White looks like he will win this one. This is a good one. Yeah, this was a very good one, huh? Bishop g4. The guy went wrong. He went wrong. So it looks like here it will be in the remaining games. I predict here this will be a draw. Oh god. I just said it's going to be a draw and the man make a mistake. I'm not sure this could be anybody's game here. They're playing time low. Maybe black will win. Could be that. Yeah, the GM Group B. I predict black should go on to win here. He's just clearly up a pawn. Now depends on his technique. And here I think white played rook f8 here. d7, b2. Wow. For this very nice tactics, bishop d7 actually. If rook d8, f7, king g7, f8, queen, wow. Rook a8, f7 again, and f8, queen. Here bishop e7 even with mate, wow. So here white has this one in the game. I think white will get this one in the game. Alright guys, so I think that's going to be the end for the commentary today. The game's basically finishing up. I predict white will win here. The other game, it could be anybody's hands. There are other people here, but they're quiet. So alright. So it's a long stream, guys. So if anybody else have any questions, you'll let me know. If not, I will have a stream later today at 10:30 p.m. in the night, CET time, Central European time. So does anyone have any questions, guys, before I go? Some very interesting games we saw today. Alright guys, well then thank you for watching and stay tuned for later. Hope you all enjoyed the stream. And what would that be like in Trinidad time? Oh god, I had to check. I think that's like around 5:30 p.m. Trinidad time. Around 5:30 p.m. Trinidad. I'm not sure. Just type on the internet what time is Trinidad time. 10:30 p.m. CET time. I think it's 5:30. I'm not sure if it's 5 or 6 hours. Either 5:30 or 6:30. I'm not sure if it's 5 or 6 hours different. One of those times. But thank you all for tuning in, and I do a lecture on pawn structure later. So we have like a planned episode on chess.com TV. So thank you guys.